Hello, Commanders, and welcome to the RNG Endgame, a podcast about the game Marvel's Strike Force. Your hosts are Frid and Creative. We're leaders in an alliance from a large cluster, and would like to share our insights with you to hopefully improve your gameplay and overall experience, and give you a little entertainment.
So here we are with another week, episode 29, and we actually got a listener comment via a review on Apple Podcast.
Your favorite.
Yes, so thank you. Go Bills 15. He or she said, "Loved the numbers." That was the name of the review, and I'll go ahead and read it. These guys are really good at what they do for MSF. I recently became an alliance leader, and they have given me some really good info to take back to the rest of my alliance. Even though I'm not a spender, like Creative, nor major blitzer like these guys are/were, I can still take something out of each episode. Festivus, Alliance Corner, Raid Strategy all allow me to minimize my time in the game when I want. If you enjoy MSF, check out these guys. I've gone back and started listening from the beginning to get all their tips. Keep up the good work. So look at that. Somebody going through the whole back catalog. I don't know that I've ever done something like that with a podcast, but I know a lot of people do. So kudos to you, and we appreciate the comments. As you know, this is our favorite way because it helps us the visibility in Apple Podcasts. So thank you so much for that review.
And Fred thinks that only people use Apple phones. He doesn't think there's a whole other ecosystem out there, so that's why it's his favorite.
You can look at the stats, which I think you're going to talk about. So
yeah. I'm just messing with you. So in terms of visibility, we do have a big milestone for the show that we have surpassed 10,000 downloads with those 28 episodes. So that is fantastic. Big thank you to our listeners. Fred and I have a ton of fun talking about the game and doing the show each week, so it's great that other people are enjoying it as well. And, as always, if there's something you want us to cover, feel free to stop by Discord or other things and let us know. We're always looking for new topics. And then another plug as well for recruiting. And in the past, we talked about our specific alliance had been recruiting. Now we're actually talking about the Alliance family-wide recruiting for the Ragnarok Alliance family. And there is several openings across several of the alliances. It looks like the starting levels are 4 million for some of the alliance, and they go all the way up to some of our top-tier alliances that are way up there, around 7 million collection power. So this is definitely in-game players. But if you're interested in joining the family, we've got a lot of great alliances. Come stop by. We'll post the Ragnarok recruiting server in the Discord comments or in the show notes as well. So we'll have that out there for everybody. But if you're interested, please stop by. So big stuff there. Fred, why don't you start us off with gearing?
yes, so the great White Queen Emma Frost is finally mine after all this grind. I was able to unlock her at her great 1 red star, 3 yellow stars, but I did have all the materials I needed to take her all the way up to tier 13. I have everything for tier 14, but I am missing some ballistic weaves that I know you have hundreds. So I actually got lucky with the stores and got 4 yesterday. So that was nice. But I'm still like 15 away, and they sell you 10 for $15, which that's a ripoff. So I'm just gonna wait until I get there, and I will take her to tier 14. I'm also waiting on her to show up at the store so I can buy the 2 red stars, the 3 red stars, the 4th red star, and eventually the 5th red star when I get her to 5 the next go around.
She'll get the creative experience as it relates to red stars.
I know how it feels to be creative and just slowly grind her way up. She's a very interesting character. The whole thing that she does with speed is really powerful. How it messes up everything on the other side. I'm a little afraid of when they get the second go around and not just the whales, but a lot more people have her. It's gonna get kind of scary out there, but Um, at least is we've seen some Emmas, but they're not that crazy. But she's still pretty powerful, and I'm enjoying, and it makes that team sure to win now. It's sort of a control match, though. It doesn't go fast. It takes a while, but they just outlast kind of everybody with the heals and the slows and all the control that she does. So I think you'll enjoy that character, especially since you can probably get to T14 and you have good red stars on her.
Well,
Uh,
a whole 3 red stars. That was before my new method. So yeah, I still haven't figured her out yet. I don't know
yes.
how auto friendly she really is, to be honest. Because most of the time I wouldn't use her special first, her alt second turn, unless you get lucky with Strife. So it's kind of I'm still figuring out her kit and how it's really going to play out for sure.
Yeah. It has worked. Maybe the Strife is pretty good, and maybe some of that. I know Strife dies all the time, but then you have Sinister, her, and Mystique generally at the end, just
Mm-hmm.
kind of cleaning up whatever's left.
Yep.
That's what I've seen. Sabretooth, and I haven't done all the T4s on the whole team, but I did do all 3 on her, the special, the alt, and the passive. And I immediately stuck her in our war room for defense. So,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
So yours
Yeah.
is a little bit higher than mine, but not much, and then I'm going to surpass you. So
Yes.
I'm probably going to keep my string of more defensive wins yet again, or defensive victories yet again. So I mean, I kind of embarrassed you this week.
Yes.
So
The it's We'll talk about that war in a second.
okay,
T11, Negasonic, and X23, and they're both now 5 red stars. So
wow.
I got Negasonic finally up. After she got to 5, I had not seen a shard in a couple of days from the node. So I don't know, for whatever it's worth. But at least I got her to 5. I opened Blitz orbs, and I'll talk about it in the numbers, and got enough Domino for 5 stars. So that means that in about 2 weeks, I will be unlocking Doc Ock. So I should start preparing that tech year so I can bring him up pretty quickly, because he'll be 5 star, right? And depends on the red stars that I get. I may have to try your method, see if I get better. I have Elite 4, 2 Elite 5s. I may have another one from the DD3, so I should get lucky with Doc
Well,
Ock.
and then you just got a whole bunch from the PvP thing, which we'll talk about too. So
Yep. Other things I did: tier 13 on Merc Lieutenant and level 70 on all the Mercs except Bullseye, because I kept being unable to click the button to upgrade Bullseye. And my Bullseye is 5 reds. So I think it could surprise people, but I'm just going to leave him back burner. I've heard some people say Shuri's better to get some sustain. I'll wait. I'll put him in the back burner. He's 65, tier 10, I believe. We'll leave him there for now. But the Merc Lieutenant, I'm thinking I'm going to take him all the way to 14. My understanding is he's pretty cheap.
yes,
And with these milestones and these rewards we're getting, which we'll talk about in a bit, I think it's kind of free to do. Okay, so I did want to discuss something creative with you. I know we've been focusing on red stars, which is very
mm-hmm.
interesting to a lot of people, but our focus has been the high end, right? The no-brainer types, and the 5, 6, and 7, the Black Bolts, the Phoenixes, the Thanos, that everybody, symbiote Spider-Man. Like, okay, that's what everybody's kind of coalescing around. That's the best.
Mm-hmm.
However, I have in my own roster some that are not quite as good, and these are some characters that are less than 4, which is what people kind of feel is the baseline. If you look at their balance, I think that's what they balance around, right? Is it 4 red stars?
At least
The
used to
balance?
be. Yeah, I'm not sure with the rework, but typically 4 is
Yeah, it's kind of the base level of when you say, yeah, this is usable. So I'm gonna read a few of the characters that I have and I use every day, which I have less than 4. And let me get your thoughts here. First, Colossus. Second, Emma, which we already talked about, and that one's going. I mean,
yeah,
there's
yeah.
no doubt about it. I have the money, the credits saved. Then there's Loki and Blob and Toad. They're all
Hmm.
3, all of those.
Yeah.
And I use them every day, all of these, right? In Blitz, in War, DD3, different modes. What do you think? Anything worth here spending 50 promotion credits to get to 4?
Well, I have that same list as you, except for Loki. I have him at 5, and those, particularly Colossus, Blob, and Toad, and Emma getting higher than 3. I definitely want to do it. I have not finished DD3 yet, so I still am, accumulating them very slowly, even though we've had these mistake-given drafts or whatever we've had. I would love to do Colossus, Blob, and Toad, all 3 of them to 4.
Mm-hmm.
Colossus, I don't know if how long people have been listening, but Colossus has been was in my arena forever. He was a 3 yellow star, 3 red star, beast of a tank. And so, I mean, he's a fantastic character. He is tier 14 for both of us, as well as Phoenix, and they do most of the work in War to take out those big teams. So an even bigger Colossus would be great, but ultimately, that's all we're really using him for now. These days is that War match, and then use him once in Greek raids, kind of thing. So I'm a little less apt to do that. He already does what he needs to do. We can punch up to 400k, shield teams and other stuff. So I would probably look more at Blob and Toad, and those two I go back and forth. A bigger Blob lasts even longer, and he does the deflect slow and all that, and then Toad slows everybody as well. So I don't know which one I would pick first, but certainly those are both. I think all 3 of those are great second tier characters.
Yeah, and well, Toad I've finished, so he would benefit in that sense. But I think and Blob, have I finished Blob? I think so.
I thought you finished the Arena Store already, right?
Yeah, I finished both of these. So they're both 7. So it's not. But yeah, you look at that team, right? My Brotherhood 2.0, and they're like 10,000 less than the rest because they all have 5. We got that Magneto 5, and I have some other 5s in there, Juggernaut or whatnot. So they look out of place. I'm thinking about that they make sense to spend 100 on them. So anyway, I think that's a good idea. So Colossus, you're right. I mean, the resistance that he gets is crazy. They can never get the taunt off him. The only time I've been able to do it is with Phoenix's regular Phoenix ult.
Oh,
she can do it sometimes. My Phoenix, at 5 reds and 7 yellow, can take it off with the ultimate move. That's the only person I've been able to see get him off the taunt. Anybody else, and you're stuck there.
Yeah, and this has been a solid team forever, right? It's an auto win team in Blitz. They take out Mercs, which is a great team. So I mean, any investment in the new BH is a solid investment.
Yeah. Okay, here's a middle of the pack, and it's a long list, but let's maybe pick 1 or 2 that you think are worth. Squirrel Girl, Miles Morales, Spider-Man, Domino, Cyclops, Ghost Rider, Graviton, Falcon, Beast, and Swarm. I think I know what you think about Swarm, so let's skip that one. But
I think he still has his uses. We've seen him being placed in AIM teams and some other things. I think he's a good character, but ultimately, I'm not going to invest heavily in a character that's going to be 3 or 4 stars for 8 more months. So.
Yeah.
And so Beast, I didn't realize that you have the outside lanes in Gamma, and that you have 5 nodes where you'd have to do. Well, you don't necessarily have to do mutants, but X-Men or Brotherhood. So, eventually getting Beast Kit up there could work. But I think you also have Mercs there in those nodes, so you could easily do 1 or 2 of them.
I do 2 with the Brotherhood. By the 3rd, they're all beat up. Blob and Toad especially. So, talking about that. Those stars may help that situation. But then I switch to my X-Men, and sometimes the first node can be done without losing Phoenix. And then you get another extra, right? Because once Dark Phoenix is out. So I could do 4 technically, Well,
I think you should bring in the main man, Taskmaster. You'll be surprised. They can. I thought Mercenary was on one of those.
Yes, he's in there. I can't put him in there. I haven't tried it, so that could be a 5th if I had to do all of them.
Yeah. So how many stars do you have on Taskmaster?
5
5
red.
already. Okay. So let's go back to your list. So Squirrel Girl, Miles, Domino, Cyclops, Ghost Rider, Graviton, Falcon, Beast Swarm. So all of those are good, great mid-tier characters. We talked before the podcast. I'm still on the fence about Young Avengers, but that's mostly because I still haven't even gotten them fully to parking lot. Yours are pretty high, and I think even Casino had them number 7 on his must-win or guaranteed sure-to-win list. So, I still say that they're a great war defensive team. They surprise a lot of people. They take in AIM or they take in Brotherhood, and Squirrel Girl just cleanses everything.
I mean, and she elevates the whole thing.
Yes, and if she's alive and people start dropping and she gets speeds up and all that, I mean, I really like her. Just, she's not going to be farmable for 8 more months.
Right,
so,
right.
So out of this list, I really like Graviton, but I'm losing favor with the AIM team.
Yeah.
Falcon is a good character, but Power Armor does what we need him to do already. Ghost Rider. So, I keep going back to the Supernatural team all the time because I really like that team. They speed up, they do debuffs and all that. I really like that team. I would love to take that team higher. And I was going to cover it in mine, but I'll cover it a little bit here. I had I think it was a 3 red star Ghost Rider, a 3 red star Elsa. And, of course, neither one of them was farmable forever. And I would do the Supernatural team, and they wouldn't win a lot. And I've gotten lucky, and I got a 5 red star Ghost Rider, 5 red star Elsa. And that team wins so much more. Oh, yeah. I've gotten down where it's Ghost Rider against 3 people. So this is your X-23 story.
Yes.
And Ghost Rider will win the match by himself. And I don't know about your Arena Shard. I still see him every day. I still beat him every day. But he typically takes out my Captain Marvel turn 1. She takes out Ebony Maw. He takes out my Captain Marvel. So he's a very strong character.
Yep.
And at some point, they're going to raise the gold tier challenge up. And guess who's going to go in there with the symbiotes? Probably him. So the other one on this list that Cyclops. So I just don't see you actually leveling him anytime soon. Because right now you've got to do Marauders as high as we can get them to make them a ridiculous war defensive team. You're still focusing on X-23 to get them to so they can blow up anything in war. I just don't see you having time for Cyclops or Beast forever. So
that's why I think they're meta character, but not Beast, but Cyclops is definitely meta. It's just that for me it's not because it's sat there at the bottom of the pile, and at 3 stars or 2 maybe it's really sad.
Right, and that's the story I was kind of getting at with the Elsa and the Supernatural. When your blasters are low, you struggle. When they're higher, they're great. So out of this list, I'm gonna say Ghost Rider is priority number 2. And Squirrel Girl probably priority number 1. And the reason I give you that specific advice, not necessarily to all of our listeners, is that you have a beast mode Mrs. Marvel or Captain, what's her name?
Miss Marvel. Yeah.
Miss Marvel. And your brawler team has always been really big. So I think you could do her and then Ghost Rider as kind of your next level down. And there's still people still talking about Squirrel Girl. I know Emma is the is like Minerva and Mantis. And so I think Squirrel Girl's gotten eclipsed by Emma, but I think Squirrel Girl still can have some applications in U7. She just has to be farmable.
Here's one that I know you're against, but Domino. Okay, so one of the problems with her is she's super low and squishy. And what I have noticed when the AI goes after Deadpool and he keeps coming back, that's really basically they're done because you have X-23 over there doing her thing.
Right.
And Negasonic. But if they go after Domino and she's gone, then they go after Deadpool and it kind of all falls apart. So that's why I'm thinking, I'm going to get her higher with the Blitz orbs, but I wonder if Red Stars in her will...
in 5 months when you've opened
in
3 million Blitz orbs.
Of grinding Blitz forever. I'm gonna put her as number 3. I
Okay.
still have faith, just because a little sturdier, I think, would really help overall that X-Force team.
Now, you haven't really been talking about them much beyond X-23 takes out teams by herself, but like
Yeah,
in war, are you consistently beating the, those big defensive teams with your
the
X-Force?
Mercs, I've been doing sort of punch across,
Okay.
not punch ups yet.
Okay.
Uh, and depends on the room, right? But she basically, again, X-23 will put an ability block on Taskmaster and then
Ah,
hunt
right, right.
down Lieutenant and whoever squishy guy is left,
Mm-hmm.
and it just kind of falls apart from there for them.
Okay.
Um, so it works really well, but if he gets in one of those rooms that gives him immunity or something, then it really becomes dicey. Or sometimes she gets targeted and they go after her with that taunt, and the evades don't work or whatever. So she could die too.
Okay.
But
I'm
I
gonna
need
put you on the spot here. Go ahead. Finish.
I need more reps on this X Force to really know, is this really what it's supposed to do.
And that's where I want to put you on the spot. I mean, so I know you've leveled them up just because you really like a character or two there. And while we have some people in our alliance that have gone all in on them, I want you to, at this point in time, are they worth it, or would you just tell people to do Fantastic Four?
Yeah, I'd say Fantastic Four feels more powerful. Maybe it's because we're more used to them and they're bigger for me, but they're not quite there yet. And I have three 5 Red Stars characters as part of the set.
Hmm.
So they just don't feel as like Fantastic Four was always able to blow stuff up, like Defenders, these crazy like 200 punch ups. This doesn't feel like that at all. Now Mercs is crazy,
Right.
right?
I mean,
So
that's a
it's
different
not. It's
ballpark.
a
Yep.
different story, but and I'm gonna hang on to hope and do
Okay.
a little bit more on them. But
Okay.
it's not that feeling of a Black Bolt or an Ultron, or even when first Fantastic Four uh, was taking out those Defenders, it felt really exciting. Now Defenders is super old, so that's a little bit unfair, but
Well, I mean, still though, they could take out the
yeah,
BKT, sorry, at the time. So okay, well we've gone a bit of a tangent here. I think we
yeah.
can sum it up to say, I'm gonna contradict myself here in a few seconds, but silver promotion credits are very rare. If you haven't done Black Bolt, if you haven't done Phoenix, if you haven't done Symbiote Spider-Man, those should be your top priorities. We're only talking about it because Frid has beaten DD3 and is just flush with all these currencies, and
I have
he's
421 if you're
oh my bad,
curious.
just 421. Over here, I'm counting them one by one each day. So anyway, I think we could summarize first that, and then two is characters like Colossus, Blob, Toad, Emma, great next tier. Squirrel Girl maybe, Ghost Rider for sure. Next one's down. So again, focus on those top tier characters. Make sure they're ones you use, and get you a lot of value out of all that.
Yep. And we're skipping some, obviously, that I already have at 4 that you would do before these. But again, this is maybe it helps some of you if you're in a similar spot. Okay. So just wanted to give a quick rundown on some of the events that are going on. So Emma, I'm at 25 out of 80 for that 4th star that we calculated we're all going to get if we do the 1.8 by the end of the, well, you could do 1.5 the last week, 1.25 the last week. You could review that in that prior episode where we talk about it. So well on my way to 4 there. Okay, Swarm, I wanted to talk about briefly another tangent. That is, I was mad at the event because my whole thing has not worked a couple times. But with Swarm, I was doing one refresh, right? Just
Mm-hmm.
50 cores.
Yep.
And one day I back to back 14 in the middle of him. So I was like, all right, my luck is back. So I've done 450 refreshes. I haven't gone through the hundreds, just the 450. And of course, he's never been in the middle again. So I'm I'm at 95 of 55, so a little bit into star number 4 there.
Okay.
And Baron Zemo, 21 that I got from Blitz, and I'm at about 13 million, and this is Saturday morning, so I should be able to get the 100 there.
13.
Anyway, oh, and Karnak has been ready for Ebony Maw, who's finally coming back, so I'll have a 7 Maw. That will help my Black Order. Creative, I've taken enough time here. How about you take us through your
Apparently,
section?
the show is now, let's just personally review Fred's roster and only cover the things that he wants to talk about. No, again, I think a lot of those were good debates for people that are out there. I think everybody probably faces some of those similar things. So, from my perspective, I want to cover it a little bit differently. We actually decided to finally do a push day in Ultimus 7, and we barely got across the finish line. And in U7 difficulty 2, we did finish and get to 100%. We had a couple guys that really carried the load and had like 50 million in damage, which is crazy. So we're now, and after we do that, I always try and collect a lot of feedback across the different players about what was working, what was not working, and certainly Black Bolt and Yo-Yo, Hela, Symbiote Spider-Man, Carnage, that was featured a lot. One that surprised me was one of our captains saying that he used the pure Black Order for a lot of the later nodes after the third boss, and I'm like, wait, what now? And sure enough, he has a decent team. It's only probably about 370 or so. I mean, it's not like these 450, 500 teams, but he used that all the way through, and it's kind of like a control fight. So
Okay.
I was really surprised to hear him say that, and then a couple people chimed in and said they did that as well. So I was very keen on that. I haven't had the opportunity to try them out. He said they didn't work on the at least the third boss nodes. He didn't use them there. It was really after that. So hopefully we get the opportunity to do that. And in parallel, I felt pretty bad for Fred. He hasn't been number one in Ultimus in quite a while because I was always there. Another guy was always there. So I have traded now to go to the official hard node. And boy, we are now on difficulty 3. And I'm getting my butt kicked on the Fury and Ronin boss nodes. So all the whining that Fred has been doing kind of off air or off the show about the Ronin node, I'm feeling the pain. So we have seen a video series from Casino. He's got 2 out of I hope it's 3 videos about the hard lane, which is my lane, not Fred's lane. His is like a little less. I'm kidding. They're all real hard in the middle. But anyway, so he's published a couple videos on what is my lane, and so I'm very curious to see if that's going to work for a non-blubbery whale, because he has really high yellow stars and red stars on everything. But he had some different and interesting strategies. Go ahead, Fred.
I tried his team on the Ronin boss. And we were 7.3, not 7.5, like he's trying.
Right.
And I do have high res on all those characters that make up that team that he was using. And I was able to one-shot it. Now, I was able to one-shot sometimes at 7.2 with some other team. So we'll just... It works, whatever the composition. I'm trying to look it up exactly what it is. It's Phoenix, Symbiote Spider-Man, Yo-Yo, Black Bolt, and Ultron. That's what you use for that node. And it worked for me, one shot. Now you lose Phoenix, obviously, but that's okay.
Yeah, and that's what I was doing before on my other lane, is I would always bring in Phoenix for that third boss node. So
yeah, basically Ebony Maw and Thanos are probably too slow here, so
yep.
You can't have them.
Yeah, I they one shot either Thanos or Minerva typically when I take them in. So anyway, we're gonna keep doing some evaluation there. I'm gonna keep talking to the Alliance mates. Now that we all are unlocking Emma, while she's only 3 stars, we'll get her to 4. We're going to play around. So hopefully over the next few weeks, we'll talk about what's working and what's not working for at least the middle nodes, or middle lanes, I should say. So very excited about that. The other piece that I want to talk about is I have officially gone off the reservation. So we talk about don't spend your Red Star promotion credits unless you're talking about premier characters. And I have somewhat ignored that advice. And I have purchased 2 characters to their 4th red star, and that is the Human Torch and Thor. And so Fred will not be surprised at the purchase of Thor. I talk about wanting his 4th red star all the time because I really like Thor. I really like the Asgardians. They do so much for me in a lot of game modes. And now my Asgardians are officially higher than Fred's again. So that's the other competition we have going.
I'm working on it. Don't worry.
Oh, I'm ready, buddy. I've got some other plans in the hopper. So I always have to have at least one team better than Fred's. So I did that for obvious reasons. Thor's a great character. You know, he's not top tier, but he's certainly next tier down. The Human Torch was, people are probably like, what in the hell is Creative talking about?
And Human Torch, Johnny Storm.
Yeah, the most squishy of all characters. But what I've found is 2 things. One is, again, the blaster or brawler on the team, if they're not a decent red star, you're going to struggle. And he is already squishy, and if he's 3 red stars, he's just getting killed too easily for me. The other real point to this is that I still have not finished the Doom War Chapter 1. I haven't even looked at it, haven't even cared about it. But I fully suspect that next week or very soon we're going to get Chapter 2, and that is where X23 will go. I could care less about X23. It's more about the mini unique, so I do need to get through that final node. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to follow your recommendation of leveraging the Fantastic Four. One is they're a good war team. They will win more in Blitz for me once I've gotten them more balanced and leveled. And then I'm going to use them for that. So it's not a throwaway thing. I've even seen High Red Star Storm, or Johnny Storm, used in the Blaster challenges as well. So whenever those tier come out there. So it's not I wouldn't recommend that to the average listener, but that's the path that I want. I really get frustrated when I can't get through certain content. So that's going to be my solution. I need about another week or so. Once I get through Emma, then I'm going to go back to Fantastic Four. So that was my kind of weird story and tangent there. So we did that. Now we've already spent like half the show just going through our tangents. Let's cover some of the news.
We interrupt this program for a special news bulletin.
Yes, so there's a big item and this week, which is another screw up. And this one is not necessarily a bug, but they're calling it a typo. And if you haven't heard, you receive a bunch of compensation by now. And that is because the latest calendar, Valuable Lessons, had a bug in it in which you're supposed to get 3,000 orb fragments for those found in the Ultra store. That's the Ultima store that give you catalysts. These are SBCs, so orange gear, super high-end gear. But instead of 3,000 fragments, which is an orb and a half, people got 3,000 orbs instead of fragments, like whole orbs. Think of the mini unique problem or the crafted unique in some of these orbs. This is much worse because you just got 3,000 orbs. It wasn't an offer. There's no money involved. So everybody got it. Now, this happened early in the day, so Australia and that Asia Pacific time zones were the first ones to get it, and a lot of people opened these, and some people were showing, tens of thousands of SBCs that were opened from the 3,000 orbs. There were some content creators that did math comparing what people got to the prices of these items, and their estimates were like $30,000 to $40,000 worth of materials, Scopely money materials, but that were given to these players. But then they corrected it, so they cut it off. There was some speculation about what they were going to do. We thought about maybe doing a show. It was taking a while, and they finally announced that they were going to roll back because it wasn't fair, right? Think about these people having that kind of advantage. So they were going to roll back those accounts or those people that had the gear. And as you may imagine, because of experience, everybody was like bracing for impact, right? It's like, oh no, this is a rollback. There's going to be problems. Think about Captain Marvel. There was even a bingo of what's gonna happen, a little meme of everybody's gonna get rolled back, we're gonna get snapped out of our alliances, all hell's gonna break loose. I'm warning people, please take a screenshot of your collection power. We don't know what's gonna happen. So they went ahead and did it. It was maintenance for what, 2.5 hours?
Almost 3.
Yeah, 3 hours. And when it came back, I was shocked. I was like, wait a minute. Everything looks good. There was not even a reset of the store. There was nothing weird. Everything looked in order. I checked my collection power, checked some of the characters. So it sounds like it went without a hitch. Or did it? So the first thing is that there were different kinds of rewards. So they announced a package of rewards for everyone. And the first thing is that they said it was going to be different between the people that got their orbs and the people that didn't. So what do you think they were thinking about here? Because wouldn't it should be the same across the board? Like, why would the people that got it, because of the little advantage they got?
Well, it doesn't make sense, though. If you're doing the rollback and you're doing it back correctly, they're set back to the same level as everyone else. So I still can't wrap my head around why everything's there.
It's overly complicated, but anyway, not sure what they were going for. Okay, the second thing that we're hearing is, and again, we weren't affected by this. We're in the U.S., Eastern time, so we didn't get to enjoy this 3,000 orb opening. But think about, you crafted a piece of Gear 14, Tier 14, that have mini uniques and this other stuff and these SBCs that help you get there. So they rolled it back, but what happened to the mini uniques? And some people are saying they rolled back other items like purples that had nothing to do with it. So they're going to do some more rollbacks, but they're saying it's going to be targeted to the affected individuals.
But
so it's
not
not
going to take the game down.
Yeah, so
hey, we're going to get some more reward packages, hopefully.
Maybe we get a little bit out of that maintenance.
Yeah.
I think, even though it felt like it took a while, it sounds like it was over the weekend. It took them a few days to come up with something. I actually think this was a reasonable conclusion to this saga. What do you think about all this, Creative, and any closing thoughts on this saga?
Well, so first and foremost, hopefully this next maintenance that they do closes it out, and it's not 6 months later that we're still talking about this. But yeah, I have to comment that in typical fashion, Scopely fixed this bug in lickety-split time because it would have broken the economy and hurt their bottom line. But Black Bolt's passive still doesn't work with Ebony Maw's ult. Still doesn't work with Dark Phoenix's special. Every day, every arena match, I see that. And they can't fix that. But they fixed this in record time. All in all, I would say they caught it quickly. 2, they communicated it. And 3, we didn't get impacted, and we got a ton of rewards. We do have an alliance mate that was impacted, and it seems like they're doing the right thing and they're responsive. So all in all, they get credit for fixing their screw up, is how I put this.
Yeah, I mean, it just not bugs, but errors that keep occurring. I guess we benefit, but we just want a good experience for everybody.
Yeah,
they just
shout out to our, our former content creator of Chew Burger. Decimal Jeff was at it again.
That's right.
All right. Well, in other news, PvP was released again. This time it was the quote-unquote quick match, which basically is no draft. You just jump right in. And this is very similar to the PvP that we saw in Disney Sorcerer Arena. And wow, is it a lot faster. You just jump in, you play your match. For me personally, I'm not a huge fan of this mode. In terms of competitive fun, it isn't. I went up against, and I took Black Order in every match, and I went up against people that were 450 teams, and mine was only 330 almost every time. And then in reverse, I went against a 90k hand team. I'm like, poor fella. I mean,
oh my goodness.
So I saw a lot of, it just seems like yet another way for them to appease the whales. Anybody that's lucky with red stars, you go have fun. So to me, the only mode that I'm really kind of looking at is that balanced draft. To me, that is purely about theory crafting of the team and playing the match correctly.
Let me ask you something here, because I don't know if I missed something, but the team power, I pick Black Order every time, and the team power that it was reporting was different than the one I see in Arena. Is there some kind of cap in this, or is it just another bug?
I think that was just a bug. Mine was the same.
My Arena team Black Order is 419.
Okay.
And every time in PvP it was 382. I don't know what the difference was. But
weird.
I'm gonna screenshot all this and we'll figure it out then, because I something's going on. But I went 10-0 creative, by the way, with Black Order, and it was all no 90 hand team. There were legendary soup teams and 450 range, and I was able to cut through all of them. So.
Yeah. I only lost 3, so
great rewards. Yeah, great rewards in there, by the way. Some red stars.
Yeah, and it was super fast, right? That was the other bit too for us, particularly because we won a lot. So, again, we're very interested to see where this goes. Unless they start cutting back Blitz, which I'm going to talk about that next week. Unless they start cutting back Blitz or doing some other things, this could end up being another hour of game time, depending upon how all the rewards are structured. So still a bit nervous about it. Yeah.
DSA does a daily for completing a match, and every 10 wins, you open one of those packs.
Yeah.
And there's some kind of ladder that you also climb for weekly and milestone type rewards. So.
Yeah, and it's unlimited. You can just keep playing and playing and playing and playing, which is unheard of in Marvel Strike Force. So I'm very curious to see where they go. We'll do some more speculation on that in future weeks. And then to close out the news, they still haven't heard news. You know where we're going, folks. Blitz. No automation of matches. The mode still does not help players learn to do punch-ups. Yo-Yo is still only in the premium orbs. I don't know what's going on. There have been no changes to address our low-quality time, and the changes that Blitz has recently done, if anything, is actually secretly promoting you to Blitz more, and we'll talk about that in the future. And there is no word on X23 and her farmability, though there was a sneaky little tagline in the blog post, and that's where our suspicions are that she's coming as part of the Doom War. So with that, let's close out the news. We've gone pretty long here already, Fred, but let's just close out with a few more topics here. Why don't you run the numbers for us?
Yes, and pretty quick, 2 things on the numbers. I mentioned Domino. Opening, I had 134 Blitz orbs because, as you may know, we blitz a lot. And I hadn't opened them because there was no reason to. So the expected return of those is 67 Domino shards based on our numbers. I got 65. So that felt pretty fair, right? Wasn't
wait.
wasn't lucky, wasn't unlucky. It was average.
Okay. Well, anyway. A mere 134 orbs.
Well, based on it's bad based on their posted, thing. But so I only needed 21 to get to 5. And remember this event, I didn't get there. I've opened a bunch. I've spent about half of my 80,000 credits, and I am at 79 of 200. I'm doing this method of I open a session and open until I get one and stop, basically. Sometimes it is before I open 10. Sometimes it's after I open 10, which doesn't make sense because it should be a 1 in 10, but you know how this goes. This is going to be a long grind with hundreds of thousands of Blitz credits to get to 7 and finish her. Just kind of like Rescue was. So if you want a 7 Doc Ock, it's going to take you forever with this method. Second, I talked about Blitz, and I wanted to do a comparison between do I Blitz only at 8.3 or do I drop to 7 and climb and then dropped. And I started capturing some of the data, but work was crazy, and then the maintenance hit when I was actually doing this. So I'm gonna need another week because I'm not gonna do it for Baron Zemo. I'm just gonna stick to my old method. But I am doing two things so you get an idea of what I'm doing here. First, just an overall, how long did it take? How many teams did you run? How many points did you get? Based on the two methods. So I'll just baseline it at that. I did get that I ran 21 teams, lost 2 times, and got about 1.1 million out of the 8.3 version of this. But more to come, comparison and stuff, next week. The other thing I'm going to do is each tier, I'm going to run 3 teams against the highest opponent and see what the points that you would get are on all tier levels from 7.0 to 8.3. Just to see if we can spot anything like, hey, it seems like 7.2 gets more than something else. So give me another week, and I will try to compile all of this and bring it to you. So that's what I'm planning on doing.
Yeah, and I've got some of that stuff captured already in our Blitz Rewards tab. So I'll review what I've captured, and we can compare notes.
Excellent. All right, this leads me to, as I was doing this experiment, a conspiracy. And that is, creative, that I am finding my top teams at 8.3 are super easy to find the random team that I have to go against than it ever was through 7.0 and through. I couldn't get out of 7 when I was trying this.
Really?
And then maintenance hit. Yeah, 7 point, I would win 7-0. Okay. And then 7.1, trying to auto and do all that, it couldn't, I would lose. Then get to 7.2 and lose again. And again, this is probably anecdotal, but I have noticed at 8.3 with the top teams, I'm able to, without crazy amounts of shopping, find some random team that I can go hit versus on the lower 7.0. So I'll do a little bit more work here, more scientific to get back to you, but that was just kind of a first impression there.
Interesting.
I don't know what's happening in that middle tier.
All right, conspiracy number 93. We're going to keep tracking that one.
Yep, more to come. And then to really close out, a couple of Alliance updates. And I know it's been a while since we've done Alliance, and we want to keep this for leaders and people that are captains, like our reviewer. But we've talked a lot about some of the things that we do, so maybe we'll revisit some topics. But this week we just wanted to plug something that was cool for those who like war a lot, and that is that we had an opponent that we were comfortably in the lead, and then they started marching. This is with about an hour when the last energy was granted. They started marching and then went ahead of us, and then there was a scramble at the end to try to get us to the finish line, and we won with, they had one more room to go when we were finishing the last room. They were at the flight decks. We had security, which is a little harder. With like 5 minutes, we cleared them out. I had to use 12 attacks, 3 boosts, everything that I had to throw at this. So I have 12 teams, and I won everything. There was a combination of cleaning up scraps and full wins. So I have a roster that's wide enough to get some defensive victories. Not as many as my friend over here and roommate now, but get some defensive wins, and I also attack 12 times to some degree of success. So that's what happens when I'm approaching 7 million collection power. So that's what happens with your roster when you get to that point. Anyway, an interesting story. The other thing is the guys at Zera Tools have released their roster, organized their beta Groot. They put a lot of work. There was a lot of releases and bug fixes, and much better integration with the tool bot, the screen capture bot that gives you your level, power, and all that stuff. So they're doing some good work there, and I was able to integrate it with the inventory and farming estimator that we have. So it's not stable yet, so I'll keep working. I'm even writing some scripts to try to integrate better and see if I can make this easier on if we want to release this ourselves, so you guys that are interested. But more to come. It's still pretty unstable from that perspective, so we need to wait a little bit. But the community keeps coming up with more tools that we can use, so that's always a positive.
Yeah, we haven't talked about that API that they said they were working on over a year ago.
Oh, that's right, because it would ease all this.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, I got to give a shout out to the Toolbot guys, their tools. There's several of these groups that are out there, and there is a lot of work that goes into those. And you've put a lot of work into the versions that you and I use, and I really appreciate a lot of that. It's when it comes down to decision time, really helps you plan things out. And even if you just use Discord, using the MSF GG bot is fantastic. Just like you seeing all of Emma's gear in one place and just quickly checking that you've got it all. So shout out to those folks. If you're a spender and you want to give them some funds, I'm sure they would appreciate that.
All right. Well, that's all I had for the Alliance. Do you want to close out the show, Creative, as we've gone a little longer than usual?
Yeah, this was supposed to be like a 25-minute episode. We go party up the Labor Day weekend, and here we go. We just talked about Frid's roster the whole time. Me. No, I'm kidding.
Can't even get defensive wins anymore.
Jeez, come on. No, I'm kidding. Okay, so anyway, I thought those were good topics, but so as always, we eclipsed the 10,000 downloads. Thank you to our listeners. We're always keen to hear what you want to hear about, or if you have any feedback for us, please just let us know. We're always willing and able to tailor our topics for whatever you need. But reach out to us the old-fashioned way, Gmail. Our email is rng@gmail.com. Sorry, rngendgame@gmail.com. We're on Twitter at rngendgame. We're also on the Discord of the Ragnarok family. We're going to post both the recruiting server as well as the public server. Stop by, say hi. We have had some interesting conversations over the last few weeks of people kind of chime in on what's been going on. So as always, reach out to us, and then can't miss out on Frid's favorite method of giving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and telling us how wonderful Frid is and you like hearing about his roster. So I'm kidding.
Exactly.
But hey, thanks everybody. For those in the U.S., have a great, safe, and happy Labor Day weekend. For the rest of the folks out there, stay safe.
Talk next week.